Okay, so the next segment of the Dasharo user group is about Dasharo Roadmap. I guess we will make it like a standard segment where we're talking about okay, what's going on the roadmap. Are we shifting any releases? What kind of releases we planning? What kind of projects we working on? And all that stuff is only about uh, community supported devices. But I will explain that in the further slides. So first, disclaimer: like, of course, nothing that we show here is like set in stone. Please do not do any investments based on that, and whatever. Do not plan based on that because those things can change. Um, so to explain how Dasharo right now function and what kind of revenue streams we have, uh, essentially we can support Dasharo in couple ways. So first is the Dasharo Enterprise package. So this is like a hyperscaler or whatever very big company coming through 3M Dev, demands full copyright transfer or whatever, like special stuff which is expensive, or custom SLA like time of reaction or whatever things they want, and there is special contract for them. Very often this code even not see the open source community, but we always trying our best to transfer this code to the public repositories. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes not. Then there is the Dasharo support package, which is annual support package, which is with clear contract. It's really release driven by customers. So customers saying like, I want this and this in the release, and I want this release at that point. We essentially doing like very direct communication with customer. There is a private issue reporting system. There are also things. So it's like for all the other customers which do not have this high demands like those big companies which require enterprise package. And finally, there is the Dasharo community support, which is what we will talk about here. And to explain the Dasharo community support and what kind of sponsoring models this has. So the Dasharo community support is essentially most of the platforms that we're releasing on the Dasharo website, except couple which are like Nova Custom or Protecti, which are under the Dasharo support package. So Dasharo community support can be sponsored in various ways. I already explained some. So for the supported hardware, let's say MSI, you can just buy this hardware and we get the funds. If you're buying from us, you can buy also from the reseller. So we also get this in somehow. So this is first source of money that coming to us to sponsor the building process, the validation process, the infrastructure, and so on. And there is, and of course, like this have to happen. Like one fee is not enough to create a release. So we're counting that. Depending on the situation, we may need 100 to 150 subscriptions to create another release. So this is how roughly it looks like. So when at some point there is enough funds gathered to do the another release, we're doing a scheduling new release. We essentially checking, okay, what kind of stuff we would like to include. Maybe we're discussing also with partners, like what is the most important. And then at some point we creating this release and shipping that to our subscribers. Yeah. There is then sometimes like there can be couple of these special updates going to customers, and after some times, let's say less than twice for a year, we're doing community release, which we also schedule on the GitHub, and at some points we're doing this community release, which is typically just squashing the special releases which go to customers before. The other like supporting sources and kind of maybe a little bit of my ideas for future is like Planet Dasharo support. So let's say there is a Planet mainboard which we plan to support. I don't know, whatever, MSI 890 if there is model like that. So we announcing we planning this model, and essentially you can buy the subscription as a pieces which will fund that development. But this is not crowdfunding, because in the terms of service you will find that you essentially buying a newsletter. You're just buying a newsletter. This newsletter is just to notify you if this will be supported, like when this will be supported. And of course, if there will be some binaries, the newsletter will consist of binaries for this new hardware platform. Of course, this requires gathering funds. At some point we schedule release, and the same situation as before. Like first the release is going to customer, then they're going to community. There are other areas of sponsoring, especially some people ask us about the cryptocurrency sponsoring. There is a way for that. There is something called Technology Commons Trust. It is a organization created in Netherlands, I guess, by people associated with NLNet Foundation. And there are some crypto accounts there where you can send money. Of course, you can add a note that this is for sponsoring something. There is like dedicated Technology Commons Trust page for the open firmware funding. And if the money will get there, then you can notify us, or you can just like let them know. And at some points when the funds are available, they can let know NLNet Foundation, yes, there are funds available, and then you can somehow associate those funds to the grant requesters for those applications. So then, like typically after that, we just send grant application, and we waiting if it will be approved. But we have very good relation with NLNet. Of course, not everything is approved always, but they know what we're doing and always selecting the best projects which gives the most to the community. So yeah, those are other sources of Dasharo community support, sponsoring and financing. Okay, so how typical process of the releasing Dasharo look like? So first of all, like for the community supported platforms. So typically there is some very deep dive discovery where there is like hardware proposition, there is research for alternative platforms. There's a lot of discussion like that on the Dasharo general channel on Matrix. There's also value analysis, so how long this platform will be available. Can we use both generation of the processors on this main board, and so on and so on. Then there is some evaluation. We're just buying the hardware, we're trying to see if we can back up BIOS, we can recover it, how hard it is. We're checking like what kind of hardware compatibility we'll have, and so on and so on. Then we start porting, of course, if there are funds available. So porting includes like building manual documentation, the initial deployment procedure, the firmware update procedures. We're creating test matrix, so we want to know what kind of stuff will be covered in the validation process for this platform. And of course, documentation on the Dasharo universe, so docs.dasharo.com. Then at some point, we reaching the maturity of this code. We starting validation. As a result of validation, we have hardware compatibility list for the memory, for the graphics card. There is transparent validation section where you get all the test results in spreadsheet, which is available online. I guess right now some models that we support get even over 200 tests. So it's like this number of tests growing and growing. And right now we have some problem that some of them are too manual, and like we have to try to maximize the automated test because like recently we ended up into too many manual tests. And finally, we would like to create something which is called the Dasharo certification program, where someone can essentially take the hardware and the open source firmware, glue some stuff, set some parameters, run the test suite, and get the results if the device is certified or not. And finally, we're doing the releases. There are two types of releases. The one that I told you is like less than 2 times a year, less or equal 2 times a year, which is community release. And there is this supporter release, which is like more often directly to the inbox of the supporters. Okay, so let's go to the roadmap. I guess it would be best if I could somehow. I guess like you will see my notes. Maybe like this. Not this. Okay, like this. So I need a little bit notes for that because I just added like I don't recall like what I changed with every possible roadmap. But we essentially divide roadmap into segments and vendors. So first segment is emulation. Like there is essentially no vendors here. Like QEMU is not a vendor, but somehow we had to classify that. We shifted this roadmap because we planned to do the validation, so the green stuff, to do that in Q2 and have released it in Q3. Unfortunately, because of being busy with other stuff, we had to shift that, and that's what happened. But we're still planning that. So the goal of this, of supporting Dasharo in QEMU, is to speed up Dasharo development, because some part of Dasharo development is just set up many like EDK2 set up many options. Creating those options does not require hardware. It can be done purely in the QEMU, and more to that, we could do some CI/CD and validation thanks to that, and speed up the development cycle. Yeah, so we hope to finalize the porting. We already finalized the porting. Right now we have to do the validation and the release. And there will be already released to the community, so there will be no supporter release for this. So next thing is Dell. You know that we had this 7010, 9010. By the way, there are people still inquiring for that. Unfortunately, we were not able to produce the release again. We're still delaying that. I hope we will finally in Q3 do the validation of the Optiplex 7010. I know that LibreBoot already did the 7020, and there is 9020 also supported, I guess. So like hopefully we can also switch to those platforms in future. There is also this cool platform, the T1650, which we plan to do NAS, like open source NAS based on that. But yeah, these are still plans. Maybe in some cooperation with the revenue sharing partners, we could essentially somehow add the subscription and add the plans for subscription, and maybe this would be easier to do the releases for that. But for now, we had to shift that even to the 2024 for release of T1650. I guess the most interesting is the roadmap for desktop MSI and Dasharo for desktop MSI, and most changes regarding our support for MSI platforms are for Z690A and Z790P, which will be on the next slide. So what we changed here is we decided to do validation and the release in the Q3. Before it was split between quarters, but we have to squeeze in Q3, and maybe even I can say that this will happen early in Q3.
Piotr, sorry.
Yeah.
So you're talking about MSI, but I still see the slide about Q35, the QEMU. Is that intentional?
No, it's not intentional. I'm sorry. Definitely not intentional. Okay, so I guess cloning of the presentation didn't work for me. Like this, maybe. Okay, I guess I'm switching slides now. So my mistake, I just cloned the presentation and just switching my slides, but the cloned version didn't switch. So, but anyway, let's get back on track. So we decide that we can squeeze stuff in Q3 for version 1.1.2, and this version 1.1.2, I hope it even may happen by the end of July. Then we will, and this will be supporter release. Then we will do another supporter release, which will consist of stuff like overclocking features, stuff like Flash BIOS button, which gives ability to do way more simplified deployment of the Dasharo. There is stuff related with Watchdog, like the Watchdog got some small bug which have to be fixed. There is fan control problem where in the firmware we're spinning at all speed. So I guess those bugs will be fixed in 1.1.3. In 1.1.2 we will support Raptor Lake, so for some it's probably also useful. We're not changing the core boot base. We still will use the old one, the 4.18. But yeah, maybe in future release we will jump to the newer version of core boot. Right now we're focusing on fixing bugs and making everything work and making new generation work instead of switching the base. All that will be deployed by DTS 1.2, I guess, or there will be 1.21 to incorporate some modifications. Then we will do at the end of the year validation, and at the beginning of the next year community release for which will include both those minor releases. Then good thing happened for the 790p. We were able to shift the porting to the Q2 because initially it was in Q3. So we were able kind of shift left the development cycle. And now in Q3 we're planning essentially complete this port, achieve the feature parity with Z690A, and do the release, which will be 0.90. So by the way, we kind of changing the release naming convention, release numbering convention. We will always release first release as 09 or 08, something below 1, and then we will realize that okay, this is like, you know, semi-validated in the production. Then we will move to the 1.0. And in similar fashion for 790, we will have another supporter release or special release for the subscribers, which would be 0.91. Yeah, and the feature set of that will also pair with the 690. So I guess that's the most changes in the roadmap. Other stuff is like stays roughly the same. Here is project of Hanetzer. Hanetzer kind of stopped with that. I guess we will have discussion today during the vPub. What can be done with that platform? At this point, like there is nothing new here. Here, the only change for the workstation was shifting KGP D16 release 0.5 to the next quarter, since we essentially had no time because of the MSI Trenchwood project and other stuff to deal with that. And by the way, the problem with upstreaming this code, maintaining that code, KGP getting old. So without additional support and without commitment from the community, I guess like it would be very hard for us to deliver next release. The good stuff is that that Dasharo for Raptor computing system, and by the way, this project was sponsored by Insurgo, is on very good track to be released this quarter, which is like kind of very good news, because like it took us a lot of time to deliver core boot for Talos 2, but I guess we're getting to the point it's finally working. We even created a TPM which is able to be used by heads on that platform. I would be glad to put information about what kind of heads version we will have in this release, but heads is rolling release, so there is no version. We will also probably have to change that if we will do Dasharo releases with heads. But I guess this could be very good news for those who like Power 9 and Talos hardware. And then finally, the server roadmap, which we have Supermicro X11 there. I know Collector HYN likes this platform a lot and would like to see the Dasharo on it. And I have it also in my rack, but the problem is that we had essentially no time to fix that. So we shifted this roadmap, but from the interesting part, I guess there was presentation on the Yocto Dev Day in Prague. I guess this was last weekend or the last weekend, where our developers Maciej or Tomek presented the OpenBMC build for this platform, and I guess there is some path of doing the BMC stuff for X11. So that's essentially it about the roadmap. So what you can do to support us to move that roadmap further and to help us not change the deadlines. Of course, you can buy Dasharo entry subscription or Dasharo supporter entrance. It's available in our shop. Then it's available, of course, through our revenue sharing partners NitroKey and Nova Custom. You can also help us finding new revenue sharing partners. So we're looking for someone in Canada, in US, in Brazil, or other South America countries. It's very important for us to gain new partnership, to spread the word about the open source firmware ecosystem. And I guess there are already 32 people in the room. So I guess there is a lot of people who may have some connection and help us spread this and improve the adoption and improve the quality of whatever we have right now. So what is very important. Okay, there are some other ways to help us. You can go to docs.dasharo.com, ways you can help us, and you can look how to help us in different ways. So I guess that's it. I guess we don't have time for questions, or maybe we have. Oh, that's a lot. So I kind of rushed through those slides. Yeah, so any questions from the audience? So we can take probably 2-3 questions.
There is a question about the slide deck.
Slide deck will be published to those who registered to the those who have tickets, and then kind of in the mid time between this and the next vPub, it will be also published out there. I guess you can also find it on repository, but we essentially send PDFs to those who bought the tickets, which are free. But I guess the selling these tickets help us realize how many people will come. If we're doing good stuff with the marketing, if you like this event, because like more people coming, that means we deliver some value. So yeah, I encourage everyone to buy this free ticket. It's like essentially about leaving your email to which we can send this presentation and I guess links to video when they will be published, and probably announcements about the next Dasharo user group and vPub.
Question from Thierry about current KGP D16 status.
I don't know. Do you want to take this? Like it's like I'm not sure if I feel competent.
Okay, so maybe I will take over. So we haven't pushed much forward in regards with the KGP D16, although we see some kind of still interest in there. People are sharing their issues, thoughts, and discoveries on GitHub issues. However, we have not been able to address any new issues, and yet not even mentioning the release.
Yeah. So like, but we still have this plan. I don't know, like maybe we will succeed, maybe not. Maybe I will have to announce shifting this release to the next quarter next time. I hope I will do this as little as possible. You know, Thierry, we had this discussion late night during last vPub about creating a kind of museum project or kind of like a special project which will like highlight KGP as a unique as a platform, last dinosaur, like last species from this kind, which could be very interesting because this is last platform which can run without microcode, last platform which had this kind of adoption. It's still sold and it's still price for that platform is not small. The problem is, I guess, different, that the most people that have this platform or most people in this ecosystem would not like the subscription model. So they would not like, they would like to get things for free. And unfortunately, we have paid projects, we have revenue sharing projects, we have subscription projects, and those projects will be more important for us because thanks to those projects we can bring margin that will build the ecosystem further. And with KGP we essentially don't have like additional resources and additional gain from kind of doing that. So that's it. I guess we are kind of a little bit boring with that. Any other questions? Yeah, there is Asus X500 70 question. I guess we can talk about that with Han Etzer during the vPub. Yeah, you can run KGP D16 without microcode. So someone asking like, I thought x86 has been microcoded from the beginning. Yeah, I guess you could run KGP D16 without microcode, and that's completely fine.
There still is the microcode, but it's built in the into the CPU. But
in the ROM, okay.
Yeah, nowadays the built-in microcode is so buggy when it's coming out from the factory that it cannot run without microcode updates. So that's the difference.
So maybe I should be more clear about that. So microcode which is loaded during the boot process, not microcode, because there is microcode, as you said, Michał. So
yeah, but for Intel platforms you have no choice. You have to load microcode even at the reset vector, because otherwise the platform simply won't boot, the modern ones. So we can call them definitely microcoded from the beginning.